Okay, we are live. We are streaming. I have sent my tweet. Okay, so first we need to set up the ICE environment. Again, I'm using this DevNet sandbox, the Automate ICE with Open APIs, Python, and Ansible. All the information you need is here. And when we sign in for the first time with a new sandbox, we have to enable the API system. And let me know where you're from. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm going to skip the code review until there's a few more people watching the stream, and then I'll probably take a second and go over the code and what's happening. But for now, let's just get the environment up and running. And ICE takes a second here, and then I'm going to set up my local environment to work with this Identity Services Engine. So we want the hamburger menu, administration, settings, API settings, API service settings, and we want to turn these two on, ERS and Open API. And make sure you click Save and give this a minute to save and turn on the APIs. That's pretty much it with ICE. We don't need to be in ICE anymore. We're going to use the APIs from here on out. Before I leave ICE, if you're looking for the documentation for these APIs, under Overview, we can open up the ERS SDK, which is the external REST service, and we can open up the new Open API system. Now these prompt you and you have to authenticate. And let me do that for both of them. And this is where I started, was to get the APIs. So the ERS, we have to click API documentation, and then here are all of the APIs. And I don't want to say I'm doing all of them. I'm doing a good majority of them. And if there's any that you want to patch in yourself, or if there's any that I've missed that you want to see done, just pass me the API you want and I can add it for coverage. And then for the Swagger, I believe I'm doing all of these. I'm not sure. I think I am. And then for each of these, we can see the get. We have the path to the API and the information. The only thing I don't know is when these pages kick in, what's the maximum number of responses from the Open API? I'm not sure yet. I haven't hit that limit yet, but there is pagination for both of these. For the ERS, it's a maximum of 100 responses. And what you should be aware of is that there's kind of a two-step. Let me launch Postman and show you what I'm talking about here. For the ERS, what we get back is search results. So this is an ERS for allowed protocols. And you can see we get search result and then the resources. But what we're after is the link href, which is the details of this allowed protocols. And what I'll do is, where did that go? Let me just take this path and paste it in here and show you what I mean. See, now we get all the details per allowed protocol. So that's the data I want. I don't want just this short resource reference. I want the full details, which means for each search result resource hit, follow the link. Now, what about something that's paginated? Well, as you can see, this page has 1,009 results. And you can see there's a next page ref. So if it's paginated, what I do is gather up all of the pages, keep following next page until there is no next page, then loop over the massive list and get each link href for the details. Okay, so this is like, could be hundreds, thousands of API calls. All right, so now let's get into the code. And I'll leave this up in case I need to come back to ICE. I don't think I will. So first thing I'm going to do is sudo vi etc. Actually, I'm going to sudo vi etc hosts. And because some of the APIs use the host name in their path, so I'm setting that up as a DNS entry. The next thing I'm going to do is activate my virtual environment, and I just have a virtual environment here. And I'm going to go back into ISEHole, source ISEHole. Now, I'm going to use the environment variables, so I don't have to keep answering the responses here. So export username equals admin, export password equals the Cisco 12345, and export URL equals HTTPS. And here's where I use ICE1, which is going to resolve to the IP address. Now, I have some stuff open here where I left off yesterday. And what I'm doing is, I'm getting all of the JSON files, and then right now I'm in the middle of doing my Jinja templating. And for this particular one, I thought that this was just always 2 entries in the list. But if we look down, there's actually some of them have much more than just 2 entries. So I have to adjust my Jinja template, which is what I'm going to do now. And then we're going to take a look at the CSV file. So, and the other thing is, I'll mention that advanced attributes is not always present. So if I look here, there is no advanced attributes for this particular entry. So that's going to maybe not complicate things, but what I need to do is move this if statement here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If there are attributes, then do another for loop for attribute in that and then I need to change this here, this path, to be attribute. And then I have to deal with my else. So if there are advanced attributes, add another loop, else actually what I need to do is this. And actually let me just break all these out so that way I can see my logic. Right, and I have defaults here. I'll collapse all this when I'm done. I just want to show you the fields mapped from the JSON. And that's the dog chewing on a bone upstairs. Sorry for the noise. Right, so then if web redirection is defined, right, add the 3 web redirections, else put NA in. Okay, so let's collapse all that back down. And what we're going to do is cut the whole thing and paste it here. And then we're going to collapse this. Actually, let me undo that for now. No, I can do that now. So then else, and let's end that for loop. Else we're going to do the whole thing again, except these, I don't want to miss that comma. These are going to be NA because there is no advanced attributes. And I think this should work nicely. And then I'm going to collapse everything. And move my yeah, that should work. Well, we'll find out in a second. Now, if you haven't seen this run yet, it runs really fast, really fast. So there's about, here's my list of APIs. Let me go back to my API list, my Python code. And I have this list of APIs here. Now, 3 of them are commented out because they are paginated, and I'll get to the paginated ones. I know the code works, it's just it takes a lot longer to run. Not a lot longer, but some of them take, like internal user, for some reason they have 25,000 users in the repository, which makes this run quite longer. I may try to find another ICE environment without 25,000 users, but we'll get to those. So right now I'm on authorization profile, and then I have my Python logic, which we can explore later if you're interested in how the Python actually works. So now I'm just going to say Python, and let's time it. ISEHole, and it's crawling over not only my parent 64, but you can see endpoint groups, each of the details as well. So all of these APIs in about 7.5 seconds. Now let's take a look and see what our CSV looks like for authorization profiles. Okay, so not great. I have this trailing comma. I gotta take a look at the template and see where that's coming from. I have a trailing comma somewhere. Well, I don't see my trailing comma. For and for if else. I'm not sure what's going on. Why am I getting this weird output? Yeah, there's a comma here at the end. Where's that picking up that comma from? Oh, I see. Maybe. No, I'm not. Where is it picking up that extra comma? Well, let's just comment out the if, else logic here for now. And see if it's in the loop or if it's in the parent. That's weird. I normally don't have this problem. Okay, so it's adding an extra space here. Maybe because I didn't... Right here, this end if, I need to flatten. There we go. There we go. All right. I just missed a little flattener. Okay, so now I still seem to have an extra comma somewhere. Let's take a look here. Do I have a trailing comma? There's a trailing comma at the end of all of these. But I don't see the trailing comma in my code. So these ones don't have the trailing comma, but this one does have a trailing comma. It's not the end of the world, but I have an extra column here that I don't need. Where is that comma? There is no comma after NA for either of them. So I don't want to spend too much time getting hung up on this comma, but I don't quite understand why some of them have a comma and some of them do not. 2, 3, 4. Well, we can move along. We can move along. I'll figure this out later. There is a trailing comma, but I don't have a comma here, and I don't have a comma here. Well, that's bizarre. Anyway, I'm going to move along. I will have to come back and figure out that comma thing later. And I'm missing the right side value. Let's take a look at this UDN in the JSON. So I have my left dictionary advanced attribute type, advanced dictionary, AV pair, Cisco, advanced dictionary attribute, is it different? Oh, they are different. See, I have a value here. All right, so I need to re-look at this template. Split this and compare these. So I need to add an if in the template, if value or attribute name, dictionary name. Yeah, it's not very uniform in terms of an API. Hey Dan, how's it going? Thanks for joining. I'm just struggling with Jinja. This ICE API is not exactly uniform. As you can see, some of these right hand have a value and some of them have an attribute name, dictionary name. So I'm just going to have to go back into my template. And I'm not sure where that trailing comma is coming from. That's bothering me. And I need to add, right, Right, so there's my value. I need to add 2 more columns here. And one is for the attribute name, and one is for the dictionary name. Okay, so and there was a typo in the actual API. I need to fix that too. Attribute name, oops. Attribute name and then dictionary name. And that means I need to, and I put them after value. So I'll put a default value of NA in case it's not defined. And one of them is the attribute name. And one of them is the dictionary name. And I'll try this again. All right, I'll run this again, and it just screams. Oh, hang on, I need to add two more NAs here in case there is no advanced attributes. All right, all right. That's better. So we have the attribute name, dictionary name. I still have this weird trailing comma. Where is that coming from? And it's only on certain rows. Still not sure where I'm picking up that extra comma. It's not the worst in the world, it just means there's an extra trailing comma here. But that should not be there, and I can't for the life of me figure out where that comma is coming from. Because it all lines up. Nothing is, like when I do it this way, all of the columns line up. The rep redirection portal name, voice domain. Anyhow, I will have to figure that out later. Let's move on to the next. Actually, I still have to do my templating for my other files. So let's grab this code here and let's do the markdown. And this is for this one here. And this one is authorization profiles. I'm going to pipe and then find the commas and replace them with pipes. I think I could do all. Let's just do them one by one to make sure. Oh, there's my trailing comma after the end if. That's why I didn't find it. It's hiding here. Ha! Stupid. Ah, okay. Well, I found the trailing comma. I found the trailing comma. All right, so now we need our delimiter row. And this is tedious. This kind of, you know, has to be done. And I've got attribute misspelled in a couple of places, and that comes from the API JSON. It's mistyped in the JSON. And then we'll have a markdown table. And the CSV has been fixed. I found that trailing comma. It was after my end if statement. So I just wasn't looking in the right place, but I found it. And the reason why I make the markdown is because if you ran this in GitLab or a GitHub repo or any sort of repository that honors markdown, it will render in your browser. So that way you could quickly take a look at this table inside of GitLab or GitHub, and you will get this nice markdown table. So that's why I do the markdown. Also because you can see it's just basically a copy paste of the CSV file with a delimiter row and pipes instead of commas. And it's a little bit tedious, but that's okay. It's worth it to have the markdown file. And let me just drag this over, make my life easier here. There we go. And then we'll do the HTML page, and we'll do the mind map. All right, so that's done. And I found my trailing comma. So let's go into the HTML. And this is authorization profile. And I pad this. And I do a little bit of copy and paste here. So I close the table and the body, and then I need table rows here and here and here and here, and make that TD. Yeah, the find and replace is going to be a little bit weird, but that's okay. So then I want the header here and my header row here, and this is authorization profiles. And let's do our header row, and we're going to find the commas and replace them with th, whoops, th like this. And then td here. I'm going to go slow because I have some logic in here for the if else. So if else let's nest those in a little further. All right, yeah, that worked okay. Okay. Now that should render an HTML page. A data table powered HTML page. It didn't like the that's completely empty. Hang on, why? Oh, because I didn't save it. Haha. Okay, that's easy enough to fix. Save the file and rerun it. And then I should have, there we go, there we go. And if I view it in the browser, we should have a nice data table of our, yeah, there we go. Searchable, sortable, filterable, paginated. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, and now we're going to copy this and make the mind map. Now the mind map is going to be a little bit different in the logic, but it's pretty close. So we're under authorization profile. And we just get rid of anything that's NA. And the else. Get rid of all of these NAs. And get rid of the TD and the /TD. All right, so now for each result we want so we need our first header here, authorization profiles, and for each result we're going to put in the name, the access type, and then if there's advanced attributes, we're going to have advanced attributes as 2. I don't need this else. I don't need to do it this way. So if there's advanced attributes, and move those up after the advanced attributes. Yeah, just like that. Okay, that's much better. So then under advanced attributes, what we can do is left-hand side dictionary attributes. And this is value type. This is name. And this is dictionary name. And then we're going to do right-hand side dictionary attributes. type, value, name, dictionary name. And then we just finish off the rest of these as 1, 2, 3. Agentless posture, auth z profile type, DACL name, description, easy wired session, candidate, ID, and let's move ID up under the top after name. And that means these all need to be one more. Remember, we can go 6 levels of depth. Right, name is 2, these should all be 3. Yeah, okay. Profile name, service template, track movement, voice domain permission, and then what we can do is web redirection, type, ACL, and portal name. All right, now let's take a look at this mind map. We're going to generate the mind map, and this one should be pretty good. And let's take a look and make sure we didn't validate our markdown table. There's our markdown table. Looks good. Okay, and then let's take a look at our mind map. And let's collapse some of these. Right, so then, right here's our advanced attributes, our left-hand side dictionaries, our right-hand side dictionaries. We have one with web redirect. Right, left-hand, right-hand side. Okay, so that's okay. I suppose I could put them each under their own. Well, we'll have to see. That's not so bad. Did I have one with wireless? Yeah, here's the web redirection. Oh, hang on, I've nested that wrong. It's under voice permission. So let me take a look at this template again. It's not quite right. Right, that has too many. That's better. And then where's my left-hand, right-hand side? I guess I can't do much about that unless I wrote the for loop twice. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. So let's regenerate that and take a look at that web redirect. That's better, web redirection. Okay, so that's one down, and let's get on to the next one. So that was authorization profiles. Let's do command sets next. Now, why is command sets nested in twice as opposed to, so I have to go back to the Python. I only want one here. So see how I have 2 lists? I really don't need this outer list here. So what I got to do is go into the Python, and I think command sets is one of the open APIs. So I'm going to go into my code. I think it's this response list. Now I don't think I can do 0 here. Let me try that. I think I have to do that outside. Yeah, no, I can't do that. So what I'm going to do is say response list equals response list 0. And let's take a look at command sets now. And it's just the outer loop. Okay. And this one will be really quick to template because there's just 2 fields. So we're going to split the screen and get into, where's command sets? Command sets. Here we are here. So we're going to say for set in data to template, close the for loop, and we're going to have a header row that says name ID, and we're going to say set.name set.id. And I'm pretty confident that we can just copy and paste this to make all the files at once, because that is so simple. So let's do the markdown page in command sets. Command sets. No, that's not right. That's better. And that needs to go here. That's better, that's better. HTML, command sets, command sets. And then the mind map, which is pretty straightforward. Mind map, command sets, command sets, name, ID. Now it's not going to be much of a mind map, it's going to be very flat. Okay, so we have our JSON, we have our YAML, we have our CSV, we have our data table HTML page, and we have our markdown, and we have our mind map. Again, which is very flat. Okay. So command sets was easy. Conditions. Now I hope these are all uniform. So conditions comes from response. So I think these are all the same because it's an open API, the conditions. And let's make sure that conditions, see, it is an open API. Hang on, let me just check something real quick. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so I don't need to chase the details. So this one's going to be pretty straightforward for conditions. We're going to go into our CSV file and find condition. And what I like to do with something like this is just copy it, make my for loop. So for condition in data to template, and for, paste that in again. Now I don't need the link. I don't need the link. We're going to take name and move it to the top. And then we're going to make it nice and easy for the CSV file. So name, attribute name, attribute value, condition type, description, dictionary name, dictionary value. Let's move the ID up as well. Make it the second field. Is negate. Let's make that a capital. Oops. And the operator. So now we're going to flatten this. And I got to remember I moved ID up after name. And now for these ones, what we're going to do is find the quote colon and replace it with space, mustaches, comma. And then get rid of all the values. And for name, or for this front quote, we're going to do condition dot, oh, and actually I need to change this to be response. All right, let's see if that works for the CSV file. I believe it will. Yeah, there we go. Nice CSV file of all of our conditions. Okay, so now we're just going to make that those other formats. Markdown, condition, conditions. And make our markdown table. And do our HTML page. Conditions. Find the comma. Replace it. Grab that for loop and make our mind map. Conditions. Name. ID. What we can do here is do attributes, name, value, condition type, description, dictionary, name, and value is negate, and our operator, and run it again. We're just screaming through these APIs. I'm just going to check on my Twitter feed. Thanks for joining me and hanging out with me. And I didn't save the HTML page. I did that again. Let me run it again. So the spreadsheet looks good. The JSON looks good. The YAML looks good. Let's take a look at the HTML page. Yep, wonderful. And the markdown. Yep. As soon as the CSV works, I'm pretty confident the other files are going to work, but I like to validate them as I go in case there's a gotcha. And then this is going to look really nice, right, with the attributes and the dictionary, our mind map for our conditions. Very good, very good. So CSRs is next, certificate signing requests. And there's no response. So there's nothing I can really do with this one because there are no CSRs. So I'll just have to skip it. I'm going to spin up a different sandbox in a little bit and see if maybe some of these, if there is a certificate signing request. Or actually I could just make a certificate signing request in ICE and repoll it. Let's just make a dummy certificate signing request. And it's been a while since I've done that, but I think I know where to find it. And I'll create a CSR and then we'll repoll the API. this is under certificates, I think, system certificates. Generate self-signed certificate. Should be. Here we are, certificate signing requests. Let's generate one. Organizational unit. We'll just make this Ottawa. Organization is going to be John Corp. City is Ottawa. State is Ontario. Country is Canada. CA. It doesn't matter. It's just dummy data for me to get the data into the API. SAN DNS must have one correct FQDN. Do I need a SAN? Yeah, I need a SAN. I just need a dummy SAN. I just want to see if there's already one out here that I can grab. Can't I just use like ISE1? Do I have to hit a plus here? Is that what I'm doing wrong? There we go. All right. No. With the correct FQDN. Let's just do .cisco.com. Maybe it needs to be a URL. Non-resolvable. That's fine. I don't care. I'm going to just generate it anyway. Again, this is just to get data. Must have at least one with the correct FQDN. Is it the hyphen it doesn't like? Well, this is taking longer than I thought. I just want to generate a dummy one, FQDN. Well, why is that is an FQDN? Okay, there we go. Let's say okay. And now I have one. And let's run this again and see what the response looks like. Now hopefully the response has all the fields. There we go. And let me just check the details. Yeah, it'd be nice to actually get the CSR contents with the certificate request. So I think what I need to do is modify my code, because I'm not actually going after the response link href, which is what I want. Where I would get the CSR contents. So let's take a look at the code. This is back to the Python now. It doesn't look like I'm following the details link for the open APIs. So I need to look at my code here, and that's going to change like my conditions where I have the response. I'm going to have to adjust my code, or my template that I just did. Maybe more than one template that I've done. Let's take a look. So I don't have anything in Active Directory. Admin users is already done. Allowed protocols is done. Hopefully I haven't. So authentication dictionaries. See, no, there is no href in the dictionaries either. So that one's fine. Same as this one is fine. But in profiles doesn't have, yeah, see, profiles has the link as well. So auth profiles and command sets. Now, command sets was fine. Conditions has the href as well. So I have to maybe double back and redo a couple of these templates. So let's take a look. CSRs, I'm going to leave the code open here and then look at the Python. And I know what I'm doing here. So what I have is get pages, get details for the search result. So I might need a different get details and rename that get ERS details and then get open API details. So let's start there. Get details, let me copy the whole thing first. And this one's now going to be called get ERS details. Get ERS details. And then I'm going to need to call and paste that. And we'll call this get open details. I'll come back and fix that code in a second. But so what I need to do is change this a little bit and say detail actually, so I need some logic here. If response list, no, if self dot first response dic let's get that JSON open again. Response link href. So if response, if response, actually, I need to do this differently. If response in self.firstResponseDictionary, if link in self-response.dictionary, else append the response list, and then finally return the response list. Get open details. Okay, so if there's a response and a link, then go get the details and append it to details list. And then set response list equals details list 0, 0. Else response list append the first response, and then response list equals response list 0, 0. Let me get rid of one of these. And then let's rewrite our open details. So for href in the result response, get href link href, and then append the details. All right, let's try this. And let's see, this CSR JSON file should change. No, instead of range, response list equals, where do I have that? 249. Let's get rid of that 0. Actually, let's get rid of this 0. Try it again. Okay, now the CSR is empty. What about command set? So but command set now has the 2 layers. All right, let's take this one step at a time. So if there's a link, go get open details. Oh, I see. I need to pass it this first dictionary. No, that's the next pages. Let's just see how far I can get before I worry about the else. Yeah, so that's going to be empty. But what about my conditions is empty, CSR empty. If response is in the first dictionary, and if link is in the first dictionary, then get a detailed dictionary from the get open details. Response list dot append. So there we go, that's much better. So there's my command set's fine. Now what about my conditions? Actually, let's look at the CSRs. Do I have? No, so it's still not working because I'm not chasing down this page. All right, so let's take a look. If response is in the first response, if link is in the first response, then pass the response list in to open details. Let's just see if I'm getting in here. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment these out and just do the SGTs. Just for performance sake here. And then I'll worry about the other ones after. So actually, what am I doing here? I'm doing CSRs. Certificate signing requests. Let's try this again. So I'm not actually getting in there, and I'm still getting this full page back. So what I want is response. All right, so if response, and if there's a link, then pass in the response list. Okay, so I am getting there. I am not getting here. link is right there. Oh, am I appending it? I don't think I need that else anymore. And it's going to be a list, right? So I need another for loop here. Aha, there we go. All right, so that's fixed. That's much better. So now I'm getting the actual response from the CSR. Now, I may have broken my other calls, and I see that I'm still 2 levels deep here. So response list. Let's do this. That's better, 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 better. Now, what if there is no href? So let's take a look. What was one of these conditions? Well, conditions actually has the href. Command sets. Let's just uncomment out command sets. And see if this is broken. So let's take a look at command sets. No, not broken. Awesome. Okay, which means I need to go back and do I still have response? Let's uncomment all of these now. Whoops. And well, and I'll comment out the ones that I know are paginated again and see if my templates need to be adjusted. So identity group is paginated, internal users, and profiler. Let's try it again with all of them. Oh, see. And which API was I calling here? Get open details. So something is broken here now. Let me undo the commenting And there's not too many that are done here. Authentication dictionaries, I think that's an open one. Let's see if that's the one that's broken, because there is no, yeah. Okay, so what's happening is because I have response, but there is no href here. So I need to add a little bit more logic here, but that's where I was in the first place. I suppose I could just look for link. Right? If a link is in the response, as opposed to if response is in the response. Okay, that's better. Now, did my CSRs get broken because of that code? Yes, it did. Okay, so I can't do that. Can I do response and? Well, no, that's not going to work. There we go. There we go. Much better. Much better. So now let's take a look here. Authentication dictionaries is working. Command sets is working. And my CSRs is working. Okay, wonderful. Now let's uncomment everything. Minus our paginated ones, of course. And I'll recomment those out. And then let's quickly look at my existing CSV files to make sure nothing got broken. So identity group, internal user, profiler. Okay, it's added a few seconds, but I'm getting all of the details now. I'm following that href. This is good. This is what I wanted. So now, authentication dictionaries. Let's take a look at the CSV. You see the CSV is broken. And that's because I broke my outer list here. Command set's probably still working, yeah, but what about my authentication dictionaries? So my for loop is broken because I don't have this in a list anymore, right? So let's look at authentication dictionaries. Right here. For result. Yeah, I suppose I could just get rid of this outer loop. But now I need to have to template. Have I done any others that are going to be broken like that? Allowed protocols is an ERS, 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 ERS. So it's just the, let's save, well, I guess I got to do that. Let me just make sure the CSV is up and running. And then I'll adjust my other templates. Aha, there we go. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, so that was my outer for loop for, and if I look at authorization, it should be working as well. Yeah, and then my authorization profiles is also still working. Okay, so what I need to do is go into my other templates and fix those loops. Authentication. Yep, that's much better. Much better. And now I'm actually chasing the rabbit and getting the href details for each of these objects. And if you remember, for CSRs, for example, there actually is more details if we follow the href. And I'll quickly take a look at these to make sure nothing's broken before we move along. Good development today. So now for both the ERS and the open APIs, we're chasing the hrefs to conclusion. So now we're getting the details for everything. And it adds a few seconds, but I'm crawling that many more APIs. And authentication dictionaries, let's take a look at the HTML page. Yep, still working. And the markdown looks good. And the mind map still looks good. So now, let's go back to CSR. Command set still looks good, yep. Conditions still looks good. Am I chasing these links? Yep, network access condition and then the condition. And let's just quickly make sure. Yeah, so it is, that is the details. Okay, all right. Okay, so back to CSRs. And now I have the contents of the certificate signing request, right? The full details because I chased the href. Now we have to be careful. I want to make something clear to you. Because of this here, this \n, that's a new line. Now it doesn't render in the JSON, but in YAML, CSV, etc., it will actually render as a new line, and that will break some of our formats. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace that in our Jinja 2 template. Yeah, that's very good. I'm really proud of that development. Okay, so we're going to do CSRs next. right here, certificate signing requests. So again, what I like to do is take this here and then write my for loop for cert in data to template response. No, I guess I don't. I don't do that there. That's not the list. I've already collapsed the list. And paste that in again. We don't need the link. I mean, we could put the link in, but this is the link's data. And then what we're going to do is make our header row. And we're going to put the, I guess we'll put hostname and ID at the top. Hostname, ID, CSR contents, friendly name, group tag, key size, signature algorithm, subject, timestamp used for. So there's our header row. And then for the inside of the for loop, we're going to first move hostname and ID up to the top. We're going to find the colon, or the quotes colon, and replace that with mustaches and a comma. And now some other things we have to look out for. It's not just the new line. This right here, these commas in the CSV would add a new column, right? So we've got to replace the commas inside of the subject. So I'm going to do pipe replace comma with a space. And then here in the CSR contents, we're going to pipe replace \n with nothing. Just get rid of that. And that should do it. And then at the front here, we're going to make it cert dot. Okay, let's take a look, see if we can make a CSV file out of the certificate signing requests. Writing Python, writing Jinja, figuring it out as we go, making some good progress here, getting every href from the list. And let's take a look at our CSRs. So there's the JSON payload. Oh, hang on, something's broken. For cert in data to template. Well, what's the data to template? Should be here. So I need response dot. Let's make another CSR so we have a list of 2 and see what the data looks like. I think it's supposed to be response dot. Yeah, that's a templating thing. But let's make another CSR just so we have a list of 2 of them. Can I duplicate this one? No, I just have to make a new one. And let's just make it a little different here. EAP authentication, allow wildcard. Corp, Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. We're going to make this a DNS name. Now, how did I do that before? iso2.cisco.com. I just did it and I've already forgotten. Non-resolvable name. Huh, I'm going to have to rewind my own stream to figure out how I did that. It's going to throw an error that that's not. No, okay, good. So, okay. So now let's recapture the data. I should have 2 responses now, I think, in this list. And I do. So I just need to add cert.response dot. And we'll do it again. And I should get a CSV file now for my CSRs. And this kind of sets the stage for all my other href APIs. Oh. Oh, I screwed something up there. Let me undo that. I don't know what happened there. Aha! With the full contents of each CSR. Wonderful. Wonderful. Very nice. Very happy about that. Development on the fly. And thanks for joining me. If you want to say hi or let me know where you're tuning in from, would love to know where you're joining me from here. Certificate signing requests. Now I got to be careful now. From now on, I can't just find and replace the comma, because inside of my regular expression, my replace, I have commas. So, and actually, yeah, I got to be a little bit careful here. So we got to find that, and we're going to go one by one from now on. Skip that one. And because this is Markdown, I don't mind having commas here. It's just the CSV file that I have to mind the commas. And then we have to do our delimiter. And then we're going to do our HTML page. And you got to watch this. VS Code has added where it automatically closes your HTML tags now. I don't know that if I like that or not. I'm not a big fan of that. It has led to some mistakes, so I'm sort of trying to work with it. But watch, when I add table header, it automatically closes that tag now. So you can kind of work with it. I don't know that I like that, or if there's any way to maybe toggle that in VS Code. But at some point recently, Jinja 2 templates have added that auto close tags. So you got to watch that. And again, we got to watch this replace here. So I want to skip that one. Now, this next one, we don't need to replace it because this is HTML. It's not CSV. But we got to keep the replace for the new line. Otherwise, it's going to make a new line, and we don't want that. And I need to change this here to be certificate signing requests. And let's do our mind map. Oops, 1, 2, 3. And I still need to replace the new line. So now this becomes hostname, ID, CSR contents, friendly name, group tag, key size, signature algorithm, subject, timestamp, used for. Awesome. Really working out nicely, this code. So we have our spreadsheet. How does the data table look? It's got the full certificate signing request, so that's pretty ugly. I mean, all right, let's try it without that replace in there. And let's go to the mind mark. Let's just take a look at the rest of this code first. It's going to be the same thing here. But because it's in a cell, I don't know. I think it's going to break it if I don't remove that new line. See, this is pretty awful. All right, let's just try it for the sake of experimenting. And let's do it in the HTML page. And let's not replace the new line here. And try it, and we'll see. We'll see. It may put it within the same cell. I don't know. I doubt it. I think this is going to break that page. Hey, no, look at, there we go. Okay, so the HTML is nice with the new lines. That respects it in the cell. That's great. Let's try the markdown. I don't know about the markdown. Again, I don't know. It's trial and error. So the HTML page, we can leave the new line. Let's try the markdown. It's cached. I think it's broken. I don't know how to flush the cache other than closing VS Code. Yeah, see, that's broken. Okay, so I need to leave it in the markdown for sure. What about the mind map? Mind map's also markdown, so I think it's going to break it. Let's try it for the sake of trying it, but I think this is going to be problematic for the mind map as well. Yeah, you see, it just disappears. And I could replace it maybe with 4 pound symbols and nest it in. Let's see what that looks like. No, that's not going to work. Unless I do it like this, \n and then 4 pound symbols. Let's try that. Oh, I need a space. 4 pound symbols, space. That's better. A little more presentable. Let's leave it like that. And I'm just going to step away for 2 seconds. I will be back. I need more coffee. Okay, so we just keep going down the list. CSRs is done. And let's make sure nothing else is broken. Conditions. Did I do conditions? Okay, conditions is broken. Let's take a look from the top. Min users is fine. Allowed protocols is fine. Auth dictionaries is fine. Authorization dictionaries is fine. Auth profiles are fine. Command sets are fine. Conditions needs to be updated. So it's just get rid of the response there and change condition to condition dot response dot. There we go. And we just did CSRs. All right, so we're all caught up. And now we're at DACL. And DACL's is an ERS, so I've already handled it. So this is all that we need. This is the detail of the DACL. If we just want to validate that, follow the href and make it .json. Whoops. Yeah, that is the details. Okay. All right, so this is easy enough. A nice and easy one. CSV. Downloadable ACL here. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that should be easy enough to template. So it's going to be name, DACL, DACL type, description, and let's put the ID up front after name. So then for DACL in data to template, DACL.downloadable ACL dot name dot ID dot DACL type description. Is that it? Yep. And I know this is a lot of repeatable stuff, and I know I'm not doing a lot of Python, but it has you know, some problems did surface doing this. So this is worth the time, and now it's really going to work at scale, and it's just a matter of going through the rest of the JSON and templating, and as you see me doing right now. So it's not maybe the most exciting logic-driven streaming right now, but I appreciate you hanging out with me. I'm going to be working on this until I have all of these templates done. And maybe not today. I'll probably stop in half an hour or so, see how far I can get. And now let's check out DACLs. YAML's fine. Obviously the JSON's fine. CSV file, there we go. There's our DACLs. And HTML page. Yep, there's our DACLs. And the markdown looks good. And the mind map looks good as well. Okay, so that's DACLs. Now deployment nodes, I think there's only one node. And I have a couple of lists here, the roles and the services. So I have to figure out how we want to do that. Maybe in a single cell. We'll have to see. We'll have to figure that out. Now, deployment nodes. Let's just quickly see, is that an open API? So it is an open API. And if I look at deployment nodes JSON, there is no href to follow. So for each node, we're going to get a response. So I have the roles and the services I have to look at. There's a couple ways we could do this. I mean, I could nest multiple for loops. And then we would get a row for each role and a row for each service. Or I could put them in the same cell without the comma. Let's do it that way. Let's do it that way. See, I go back and forth whether or not I should make a row for each role and a row for each service, and that way you can sort on these keys. But it's going to make the report that much longer. That's fine. We'll do it that way. So, deployment node. And there's not too many fields here. So we're going to have the FQDN. Let's do hostname first. Hostname, FQDN, IP address, node status, role, and services. So then I need a couple of for loops here. For node in data to template. I wish I had two nodes. Is this going to put them all under response? Or am I going to have multiple responses? think I'm going to do it within each response. So I need for node and data to template response, and then I need for role in node roles, and for service in role services. We're going to have node.hostname, node.fqdn, node.ip address, node.node status, and then we're going to have role and service. Let's run that and see what the CSV looks like before we move along. Okay, my for loop didn't work. For node and data to template response. Not quite sure why this isn't working. Let's get rid of these inner for loops for now. And get rid of these. Should have a comma there anyway. So it's those inner for loops causing my problem. So why wouldn't it be node roles? Okay, that worked. Did I have services typed wrong or something? Did I not save it maybe? Oh, it should be node service. Jeez, John, huh? The outer loop. Yeah, that's going to work now. And I should have two rows, one for the profiler and one for the session. And if I had more roles, right? Yeah, that's nice. Okay. Let's Let's do our other files. And let's do the mind map. So then what we can do with the mind map is do it like this. And then we can do ideally I could put role here and then have the role, but then services is going to be broken. Right, otherwise I'm going to have service for each role. So what I'll do is I'll move role inside here. Actually, what I can do is just leave it like that. Let's see what it looks like. I may adjust this. Oh, hang on. Something in my markdown template. I didn't save that. Where's my markdown? Line 54. That stupid find replace replaced my comma with a pipe. Looking good. Looking good. And let's see what the mind map did here. Yeah, it's going to do it for each. There's no way around that though. Ideally I could have service and then the services. Yeah, it's because it's 2 for loops. Well, I guess I could end the for loop. Yeah, huh, John, just use your head. Right, so what I'm going to do is roll here, and then have the roll, and end that for loop, and then do services. And the service. Huh. There's always a way. And this is going to maybe much better. Aha, there we go. Perfect. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap things up. I'm going to push this in. Let me get rid of all of the output and commit this code. And pick up where I left off a little bit later today. So this is going to be, I'm still in main here, in progress at deployment node template. All right, well, thank you for joining me, and I'll be at this a little bit later. I'm just going to take a break, but I'll probably keep going. So there's still, let's take a look. How many are there? Still about 50 to template. So, you know, I'll chip away at it. We got quite a bit done. Today we actually did some really good Python to address the hrefs. So it's universal now, regardless of if it's an ERS or an open API. I will follow the href, and if it's paginated, it will work as well. So I'll be back on later today. We'll see you soon. Thanks for joining me.